Welcome to the Sweet 16, my friends. We have officially traded the alleyway for the trees. And honestly, it's a lot quieter out here. The bracket has been pruned, the dust has settled, and we are left with the heavy hitters. No more warm-ups. From here on out, every single battle is a collision of legends. This is also the last round where the larger seed gets the home habitat advantage. I've got the latest reports from the field, and trust me, the woods aren't the only things with secrets tonight. Let's go find the crew and break it down. I just got the transmission from the front lines. The Sweet 16 results are in, and some of these were absolute nail-biters.
Finally! It's been too quiet out here, Robby. My sensors were picking up movement from the extinction and metal divisions, but I couldn't get a clear lock. Who actually made the cut?
Yeah, did the orca follow us into the freshwater? Because if so, I'm moving to higher elevation.
Patience, my friends. According to my research, the data has to be delivered with precision. Robby, please tell us the survival per capita of the night. My charts are waiting for their final entries, and the tension is, well, it's quite stimulating.
All right. Settle in, y'all. From ghost dolphins to armored lizards, we're covering it all tonight. Scout, keep the tablet ready. And Professor, get your pen out for your data. Let's go ahead and start this recap. In the Kalahari, we see our number 1 seed Honey Badger was taking care of business at a communal latrine when the number 4 seed Pacific Lamprey warped in on the side of his salmon host. Now, the lamprey is not built for land. It's built for the ocean. Well, and neither is the salmon. When they were both transported, sand started clogging the lamprey's gills, causing slow suffocation. Badger thought he had found a high-energy mole snake and pounced. The lamprey thwacked him in the face with its signature smiley face bite mark, but Honey Badger don't care. He's got thick skin and high metabolism. He held the salmon down and scarfed the lamprey. Honey Badger consumes lamprey. The number 2 seed Oafage was guarding her nest in the Pyrenees. She was only one of 309 breeding pairs in Europe. The number 3 seed Gila monster warped in onto the cliffs. Gilas are masters of restin' and digestin'. Me too. Especially after gorging on bunnies 2 days prior. But then, a tourism helicopter flew too close. The auditory distress and downwash are known to make vultures abandon their nests. The Oafage took flight, leaving the Gila to flatten her body against the ledge and waited out. Gila monster outlasts Oafage. The number 1 seed Nile crocodile was submerged in Lake Victoria, using its flattened snout for a low-profile lateral attack. Then, the number 10 seed gray fox warped in from the 105-degree Fahrenheit Arizona heat dome. Totally parched. Canids have high water needs, so he ran right to the swamplands to drink. The crocodile didn't even need to lunge. It used its sideways head strike, a move usually reserved for fish, to stun the fox and snap those massive jaws shut. Crocodile snaps and scarfs the fox. Two male lions, Darkmane and Torn-Ear, were on the lookout for the 4 Fs: females, food, friends, or foes. The number 6 library cat warped in onto a thorn bush. Suddenly, Darkmane spotted movement and lunged. He leaped, tumbled a small feline, and scrunch, bit through the skull. But check the bio readout. Darkmane dropped the body and walked away. He hadn't killed the library cat. He predated a cheetah cub. Cheetah cub mortality is 80% due to lions. The library cat, an indoor specialist, watched from the thorns in horror before bolting for safety. The lions, with the mole on the paw, outlast library cat. The stellar sea cow was scraping algae with its toothless, bristly lips in the 1760s when the number 5 Baiji warped in. These are two completely different aquatic niches. One loves the salt, the other does not. They were actually frolicking with sea otters under the high salinity of the Bering Sea, but it became too big of a stressor for the Baiji. The dolphin headed for the lower salinity river outflow and left the field. Stellar sea cow outlasts Baiji. 12,000 years ago, in the desert, we see the camel and the oryx. They are actually sympatric here, meaning they shared this habitat. However, they did not want to share the shade in the 104-degree heat. Cattle are incredibly stubborn and seek shade to reduce heat stress, and that's exactly what our oryx was doing. The camel, he tried to nip and kick to clear the spot, but the oryx went full hook-'em horns,
Boomer Sooner, Robby!
using its 42-inch horn to gore the camel's thigh. I heard that, Scout. Aurochs gores camel. We're back in Hawaii, where we see our mama humpback whale swimming with her newborn calf. The Indian rhinoceros warped right between them. Now, rhinos are actually surprisingly buoyant and can swim for minutes during monsoon floods. But when the calf's pectoral fin tickled the rhino's flank, the rhino panicked and collided with the mother whale. Startled by a mammal larger than a tank, the rhino used its limbs for propulsion and paddled to the nearest shore. Humpback whale outlasts Indian rhino. Alright, it's the last battle of the night, and we have the heavyweight clash. The Asian elephant was drinking, suctioning water at a staggering 330 miles per hour when the common hippo warped in mid-charge. Hippo tusks are razor-sharp canines, and they tore right into the elephant's flank. Elephant trumpeted and gouged the hippo's rump with its tusk, but the hippo lunged again, biting the elephant's back leg. The elephant, facing an aggressive ecosystem engineer in its own element, backed off the field. Common hippo defeats the Asian elephant. Oh my gosh, guys, the Sweet 16 didn't just prune the bracket, it scorched it. I mean, come on, that library cat, it was so lucky using that cheetah cub as a tragic distraction. The field is getting smaller, guys. The stakes are getting higher, and the air out here, well, it's starting to get a little thin.
Thin, perhaps, but intellectually effervescent. The survival per capita has reached a sublime apex. According to my research, we are moving beyond mere animalistic skirmishes into a grand socioeconomic restructuring of the natural order. My latest monograph on poo-on-poo tactical theory will practically rewrite the
Get it, Professor! Nobody cares about your monograph when there's a hippo goring an elephant in the real world. I'm trying to get a lock on the Elite 8 coordinates, but your intellectual effervescence is literally jamming my sensors. And honestly, the only effervescence I'm interested right now in is physical density. This whole environment is just flat.
A pun, Scout. Precision is a burden the unrefined simply cannot carry, Scout. The numbers are no longer just fascinating, they are absolute.
All right, you two. Break it up before the mold starts to mediate. Grab your gear and keep your eyes peeled because the Elite 8 is coming for us next. For Stay Metal, stay sharp, and for the love of the portal, keep an eye on your toe beans.
Out!